This is Raising Rebels, a practical playbook for dads who want to get better, who strive for their kids to be resilient and thoughtful in a distracted world. I'm Joel, and I'm joined with
Tec.
Tec. It's time.
It is time.
It's time. We've been kicking this around for a while. We've been doing a lot of work, and this is the episode that gets to get us going and have us add value to the men that are out there that are seeking wisdom or seeking advice or just seeking ways that they can just get better.
Absolutely. And think about all the ways we can get better in marriage and manhood and leadership and everything that is part of what we're called to do in any type of area that is in our lives. And so as we look at being dads, being husbands, and all of that, it winds and weaves together. And this is going to be that resource for men. This is awesome.
Yeah. Every week, we're going to look to challenge the men that are watching or listening at home. We're going to challenge them in ways that they can grow as better fathers, as better husbands, as leaders, not only of their family, but in their careers. And I'm really excited to get going and really I want to get going. We got one shot, right? We get one shot, one chance. God didn't give us children to blend in.
Yeah.
Right? He gave us rebels to stand out in a dark world and be a light in a dark world.
That's right.
And that's what we're going to try to do here, is help impact that. So let's roll. We're not meant to do life alone.
Nope.
So this is more than a podcast. This is a community.
Yeah.
Right? We're looking to build community with our listeners so that we can sharpen each other. Right? I don't have all the answers. I have a lot of things that I've messed up with.
That's right.
So
expertise there.
Yeah. But it's here where, taking in, having 5 children at home, right? I got 2 sets of twins. Me and my wife were blessed to have 5 kids in 3.5 years. Mm-hmm. So we're in the thick of it. We've got 9, 11, and 7. And then I've been in education my whole life. So I've been working with teenagers and young adults for the last 20 years. I feel really old saying that. Mm-hmm. That I've been doing that, since 2005, been coaching and been teaching. And I've just learned so much. And it's been really something that's been on my heart for the last probably 3 to 4 years of just creating a resource that men can come to, that they can grow from, and they can better their families.
Yeah, and for me, the same thing. You say old, dear goodness, I'm old. I am the empty nester in the group here,
yes.
Right? So raising 2 great kids, one just graduated high school, one just graduated college. And, these life lessons that I've picked up along the way, former law enforcement officer, captain the U.S. freediving team. I'm in the diving industry as an expert and a trainer in scuba diving and free diving and, all these wonderful pursuits. But the beautiful part, like to serve my church, to be a husband, to have these kids, I get to reflect back now. Mm-hmm. And that's my piece here. I want to showcase from I've been there, I've done that. And I'm here to tell you, here's what that was like, and right. You get questions about, hey, this and that and the other thing. There are some of us that have done it. We've lived it, we've done it, and I look forward to providing that input for the community that we're developing here.
Yeah, I think it's called, is it inexpensive wisdom? Maybe it's not exactly that, but something along those lines where you get to learn from other people's mistakes, other people's mess ups. It doesn't cost you anything.
Oh, yeah.
But you just get to kind of sit back, listen, and just be ready to absorb whatever you feel is going to benefit you and your family.
That's right. And that's the beautiful part, if you look at anything on that failure side, we call it failing forward in my household. Mm-hmm. And when we look at that right here, we get to share that. And if we share failure and use failure as a positive thing, hey, you and I have done a great job on that. But we also get to share those successes because we have raised some really great kids. We've coached up, we've taught, we've done lots of things that are positive. And it's awesome to share the good and the bad.
Well, and here's the other thing too. Dads are so integral, right? You can see it in the statistics of the men that are in prison,
Yeah.
I don't know the exact number. It's got to be somewhere around 80% fatherless homes.
Yeah.
And fathers have to know how important they are to their children. And as a coach, right? So I've been able to coach varsity sports for a long time, head coach for, around a decade. Got to impact a lot of young men. But I don't nearly have the impact as a coach that a father did.
Correct.
And that was one of the things that kind of really led me on this journey to really want to start giving to dads, is because I saw that, yeah, I'm able to make impact as a coach, but that guy right there, the father, has way more impact over his son than I ever will.
Mm-hmm.
And so how do we make generational impact? How do we impact these kids even more?
Mm-hmm.
We help impact the dad.
Exactly. And the other thing too, like I grew up in a single household. My mom raised me, no dad. And so when I look at how other men played roles in my lives, that was a really important thing. So I didn't have much of a model to go by for raising kids.
Yeah.
I wish I had a podcast like this that had men that have been there, done that, guests on the show that have been there, done that, that could help me in all those areas that I never got to get when I was growing up.
And one of the things I love about the topic too is you don't have to be a dad to be a mentor.
That's right.
Right? And they're very similar, not the same, but they're similar. And, when my wife and I were going through infertility, we went through infertility for about 5.5 years before we had our son. It really changed my outlook on the kids that I was teaching and coaching. Started looking at them as my own. And I didn't have kids of my own, but I could still make an impact in the kids that I had around me.
Beautiful.
And that was really what changed my perspective, especially as a coach, was not looking at them as, oh, these are just players that we're using to try to win games.
Yeah.
Right? That's a shallow look.
Yeah.
I started looking at it as, man, how can I change the lives of these young men so that they become better young men, they become good fathers and husbands one day. So this podcast, yeah, our target audience is dads and fathers, but it's not limited to that.
That's right.
So if you're listening right now, you're like, oh man, I like this point. My buddy would really like it.
Yeah.
But he's not a dad, so I don't know no, this is for everybody.
That's right. It's for everybody.
You don't have to be a dad to mentor and to change lives of people around you.
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
I was a little brother for big brothers, big sisters.
Yeah.
I was a little. And then I was able to become a big brother. It was before kids, before marriage, before anything like that. And if I had some of these principles, I could have even done better as a big brother in a volunteer program like that. Well, so many things here.
Yeah, and there's no playbook for parenting. I mean, we have the Bible.
Yes.
Right? We have the Bible.
We do.
But there's no playbook for marriage, for parenting. There's lots of books out there. Everyone's got their own opinions, and it can get overwhelming. Yep. We want to create a playbook for dads. We want to create a playbook where men can come here, pick up some tips that can make their families better. Or we're going to affirm what they're already doing. Some of the stuff we're talking about, there's dads out there that might, yeah, I do that. That's fantastic. Keep it up, brother.
Yeah.
So if you've ever thought as a husband or as a father or as a leader, really big on leadership, if you've ever thought, what the heck am I doing? You're in good company.
Amen.
Because we've all been there. We've all had those thoughts. And community, like we weren't designed to live life in isolation or as a silo.
Yep.
Right? We were designed to do life together. And that'll definitely be a topic that we'll talk about down the road.
Definitely.
How important brotherhood is, how important it is to be in community.
That's right.
But this is one of those places, where men can come, we can jump in the comments, affirm each other,
yep,
pray for each other.
That's right.
So I'm really excited to get this going. When you hear Raising Rebels, Tec, what do you think of?
It sounds like on the cultural side of the house, it's about, well, wait a minute, we're gonna We're going to raise up somebody to go against the grain. And it sounds negative, but it's not.
Not anymore, right?
Exactly.
I mean, the culture has shifted pretty dramatically over the last 50 years. And now being a rebel or labeled a rebel is going against the culture. A culture that wants to say that boys can be girls and girls can be boys. Culture that says, yeah, a man can go into a girl's locker room or a man can get pregnant. It's standing up for truth and not just getting sucked in by the current of the culture.
Yeah, and that's what's going on. It's so prevalent now. And you look at the word, I mean, specifically, you're talking about like rebels, right? You go back to the James Dean era, you go back to all of that. What did you have? You had a society that was trying to be as put together as possible. Rules, law, order. You had the family unit was preserved. It was husband, wife, kids, jobs. It was that. And the rebels were going against that. Now it's flipped. Now you've got this kind of chaos, almost this anarchy that is the culture, where things aren't defined, things are too fluid. And so when we're talking about rebels, the rebellious behavior that we're talking about is actually getting back into values.
Yeah.
Which is often looked as countercultural in this particular cultural moment.
Yeah. And let me tell you something, Gen Z, they're starting to become pretty rebellious. That generation right now is flocking to the church more than any other generation has.
Exactly.
And so, we get to have a part in that. We're going to talk about a lot of things throughout the course of this podcast. Not this episode, but this is podcast. We're going to talk about 80s and 90s parenting. We're going to talk about real life things, marriage, divorce, pornography, identity, communication, sports, youth sports. I'm grown up. I've grown up as a coach, right? I've been coaching since 2005.
Yeah.
Played baseball in college. Love athletics. Plays a pivotal role in, I think, the development of youth. But that's changing as well. And so we're going to dive into youth sports. We're gonna just really talk about real life stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to get into that. And parenting has changed.
Yeah, it has.
It's not the same. We say the word culture a lot, but it's not the same as it was 20 years ago.
That's right.
There's different technologies, there's different cultural waves and pulls that have kind of started to make their way and are starting to try to pull our children away from the virtues and the values that we hold dearly.
Yeah.
And so we need to raise cultural rebels, and we need to stand firm in truth. We need our kids to stand firm in their identity and to oppose the cultural noise, right? To oppose that noise. Right. And this, as dads, in my opinion, and I might say some things that kind of rub guys the wrong way. That's okay. I'm a coach. Like, I'm not here to say, what you want to hear.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say what I feel you need to hear.
Yeah.
And this isn't an option as fathers. Like, this is a duty.
It is.
This is something that we're called to do.
It is.
And we need to take that duty and that call seriously. Because if we don't, we run some great risks with our children.
That's right. And, we have to look at the accountability side of the house. So we're very faith-based. And so as we, as men, have our lives rooted in our faith, we are accountable to God. And so I would hate to do things to disappoint, but we are also accountable to our wives that we're in covenant with marriage with. We're accountable to properly raising the kids and to doing it right. So this is where I think that there is an importance that comes along with what we're doing. Hey, podcast, nice. You got a whole lot of choices of podcasts to listen to. But when it comes to something that is so pivotal and so important as raising kids, I remember going and with my first newborn going, where's the book?
Yeah.
Where is the book? People are literally trusting me with this new life. I don't know what I'm doing. right? That was 23 years ago for me. And that is something that is sobering, but it's also teachable. And that is a great place for us to be in kicking off this episode.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about a couple of principles here about what we mean by raising rebels.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so one of the things that one of the principles that I want to talk about is we want to raise kids that we can launch into the world, not raising houseplants. So launching arrows, not raising houseplants. And when I was putting that principle down, I was like, man, is there another way? Like, people might not get the houseplant reference, but think about it though. Houseplants are they're delicate,
Yeah.
they're sheltered, they're babied,
Yeah.
they're nurtured, they're not out in the elements, they're safe.
That's right.
But we need to start doing a little bit different. We need to put our kids out there. We need to let them experience failure so they can grow, right? Too many parents now want to protect their kids, right? You got the helicopter parents.
Yep.
You've got the lawnmower parents. You've got the snowplow parents. All that, based on the numbers, sucks.
Yeah.
It's just flat out bad.
Yeah.
Look at the numbers of the children experiencing anxiety, experiencing depression, suicide ideation. It's higher than it's ever been.
Yeah. It is.
So we've got to do something different.
Yeah.
We've got to do something different.
Yeah, and you and I are outdoor guys, and both of us spent time this past summer with our kids outdoors. Think about that analogy on that house plant that is on those state parks and on those hikes that we're walking. Those plants are competing. They're struggling to get sunlight. They're struggling to not be overcome and devoured by other things. They are growing up in the wild. So where is the nurturing? Where is the peace for our kids to be able to be strong against the struggle, strong against the natural forces that are going to come their way? This is where we are training up plants in the wild instead of house plants. I love that. That cracks me up because it has so much likeness to things that you and I experience out in nature. It's awesome.
And another thing is, dads, we have to model what it means to be rebellious.
Yes. Yes.
To the culture.
Yes.
Our example is going to preach louder than any lecture we can give our kids.
That's right.
Right? We have to, the parent influence is still the number one factor in a child's worldview formation.
100%.
It's the number one.
Yeah.
A lot of parents think, oh, well, there's so many things that and they're right. There are so many things out there. But as parents, right? And this isn't just me making it up, right? This is from a study in 2005. The title of the study, I think, was called Soul Searching. And they found that still the number one impact on kids is their parents.
Yeah.
And that hasn't changed.
Yep.
Still hasn't changed.
That's so huge. And I think the parental unit, the dads especially in this, are so important. When we look at like public school, private school, I've had my kids in both and enjoyed both. But I have also seen where a parent would say, go to that Christian school so that you can get your Christian education. It's absolutely void at home. Or any other value structure, not just Christianity, but values.
Yeah.
And so if parents are relying on their teachers in public or private school to raise up their kids with their virtues and values, now we're going more into what the culture is going to raise up.
Yeah.
And so if it's not coming from the home, or if the home is not in a solid, virtuous value system, then what's going to happen?
Yeah. No,
that's where we see danger.
Yeah. Yeah. We have to be able to model that as fathers. We have to launch arrows. We have to be the model. And we have to raise kids who love truth.
Yeah.
Right? Not your truth, but the truth.
Yeah.
God's word. That there's no relativism.
Yeah.
Right? Truth is truth. It's not different for each person. we need to raise kids that have the courage to stand alone.
Yes.
Right? Too often our kids are getting sucked in because they're afraid to be outcasted.
Mm-hmm.
We got to teach our kids that it's okay to stand alone. It's okay to have the courage to do that. Building that resilience in them is, I think, the number one important trait that I think you can build into your kids is resilience.
Mm-hmm.
And they do that through failure, through experiences like that.
Which also leads to confidence. And when we can boldly go to truth, when we can boldly say this is our values and this is why we won't compromise on those, that gives a confidence. And so when kids of all ages are paying attention to parents that are standing for something that is important, they're going to live and die by that. It solidifies the importance to that kid to make it part of their own. Again, going back into all the research that says how important parents are to shape the lives of kids.
Amen. Yeah. We've got to fight for them.
Yeah.
We've got to fight for their future.
Yeah.
Right? Not for their comfort. Right? As parents, we got to think about eternity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not what is good for them and comfortable for them here. So we've got to really put that on the forefront of our minds.
Yes.
And we've got to raise kids who fear God, not man.
Mm-hmm.
And fear God doesn't mean to be afraid of him.
Right.
Now we should, that's part of it. But when you look through a lot of the Bible, the word fear, when it's translated back to its original language, really means in awe of.
Mm-hmm.
We want our kids to be in awe of God.
Yep. And reverence.
Yes. And not of man.
Yes.
So one of the things that I want to challenge dads to do is to create a list of values and virtues for your family. So I'll give you an example. Our family, we have 5 virtues. Love God, work hard and smart, do the right thing no matter the circumstance, never give up, and serve others.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And that's the foundation for our family and how they should be making decisions, right? Am I doing the right thing? Oh man, but it really benefits me. But no matter the circumstance, and they're not good at it. It's not the point.
Yeah.
The point is that we use those to teach. So when my kid does mess up and I'm able to have a conversation with them, I can say, listen, like, this is what you did. Does that line up with our family virtues?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
No. All right, well, we want to make sure that we learn from that, because that's how you grow, is you learn from your mistakes.
That's right.
And we bring them back to the foundation of our family.
That's right.
What about you? You guys got some values or
and
virtues
it's so
at home?
similar. It's so similar. We just kind of name them or package them a little bit differently.
Yeah.
But amen. Absolutely, Christ is the cornerstone of our household. It is where everything comes. And so we're always pointing to Christ. When we get it wrong, we're going to get it wrong. But we're always pointing to Christ in that, whether that's for forgiveness, whether that's for anything that is difficult and challenging. We're praying, all of those things. So that's why I say Christ is the cornerstone of our house, because it weaves in so many different areas. We also adopt a work hard, play harder model.
Okay.
And so work hard, and the great work ethic is something that is huge in our household. But I'm also a recreation major, and my career is in recreation. The benefits and the power of recreation are numerous. And so there's a great balance, and I want my kids to always understand that and live that, because there is a really big thing there. Giving thanks always.
Ooh, I like that.
It is a humbleness that in everything we're giving thanks, even in the hard stuff. Always giving thanks. That's huge. We're always about do hard things. Do hard things, because sometimes when we do the hard things, we get benefits that other people don't. When you're willing to put in that hard work, that's where the rewards come in. And there's so many things to that, but that is another mantra in our house is do hard things. And then our final one is fail forward. Fail forward. This is John Maxwell, and his book and everything. Boy, I adopted that a long time ago, basically coming from a kid growing up in the 80s and failing a whole lot in my own rebellious way. But the deal is that there's also risk, reward. There's also learning that comes from trying. And so we never want to have our kids be so sheltered that they are not willing to take risk.
Yeah.
We teach how to mitigate and minimize risk, do things sensibly. But if you're going to fail forward.
Yeah, I love it. Now, I just want to challenge our listeners. If you guys don't have a list of values at home as a foundation for your family, I want to challenge you to think of 3 to 5 words or phrases. Talk to your wife, see what she has to say. And if your kids are old enough, around the dinner table tonight, ask your kids. Yes. Ask your kids, if our family stood for 3 things, what would they be? Yes. And just see what they have to say. Because you might be surprised, and you might be pleasantly surprised, and it also gives them stake in the game.
That's right.
Right. So if your kid, so I developed our family values when my kid was my oldest was 2. So he didn't really have the capacity to really think about that or contribute to that process.
Right.
But if your kids are old enough, involve them. Yes. Because when they're involved, they feel they have some stake in the game, and they tend to buy in a little bit better. One of the things that want to make sure that I communicate, to our listeners is again, we're not perfect.
Nope.
I can remember. So one of the things that, areas that I messed up was we recently moved down here about 4 years ago. So I don't know, recently, I guess, in the grand scheme of time, but 4 years ago, and I was a coach, right? I coached baseball and I coached football, and when I came down here, I was coaching more, and that was kind of my identity was wrapped up in that a little bit. And my wife had to go back to work, and she was balancing a lot, and she'd never asked me to stop coaching because she's amazing and she never would.
Right.
But I started to get this feeling like there's an imbalance here in my family, an imbalance in my marriage, and something's going to have to give. And that identity of coach was kind of really wrapped tightly around, because it was something I was good at, something that I love to do. Yeah. But it wasn't who I was,
Yep.
And so it took me a little while to realize that. And at the end of the day, I ended up walking away from coaching for that season, or that season of time, this season of time.
Yeah.
Coach my kids now and things like that. So I'm not done coaching, but really needed to kind of reflect on how, and take an assessment of our home and make some tough decisions.
Yeah.
Tough in regards to I was wrongly wrapped up in an identity that really wasn't true.
Yeah.
Easy from the standpoint of if I have to choose between coaching and my wife, my family, it's an easy decision.
Yep.
So you just got to make sure that we're always auditing ourselves as husbands.
Yes, absolutely. But see, you get to take that and you get to teach others. Watch this pitfall. Watch out for this. And others might not see it. For me, it might sound familiar to listeners. I brought work home. And my work being brought home wasn't literal. It wasn't me sitting on my computer. It wasn't me saying, I don't have time, I'm going to go in my office and work. Nope. It was that I mentally brought work home. And I was still at work at the dinner table. I was still at work while my wife is fixing dinner and asking me about my day, and I'm asking her about her day, but I'm not listening. It's still brooding. It's still in my head the whole time. And with that distracted me. That kept me distant. And it impacted the family enough that my wife called me out on it. And, I recognized what was going on.
Yeah.
And that was a hard one to swallow, that I was so aloof to what my family was experiencing because of what I was doing. And I felt that that's what I had to do as a manager, and all these things going on and people and on and on. I overcame it. And that was to sit there, and on that drive home every night, when I turned into my neighborhood, that's when I started a prayer. And I would just then give thanks. Thanks for the job that I just had. Thanks for the income. Thanks for this car. Thanks for this house that I'm about to pull in the driveway. Thank you for this wife. Thank you for these kids. Now, let me enjoy them.
Amen.
And I literally would park the car, open the door, and it was a new thing. That was compartmentalizing. And when we start to talk about these strategies, this is what it takes. It takes falling sometimes to then come to an awareness. And that's failing and failing forward.
Yeah, no, thanks for sharing. I mean, that resonates with me too. I'm sure it resonates with the men listening.
Yeah.
So this is where we get better together, men. This is where we grow. If this episode added value to you, share it with other men, other dads. Thanks for watching or listening. Keep growing, keep leading, and keep raising rebels. We're out.